Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel in our series on the lore and inspirations of Mabinogi. This time we're taking on Generation 7, but unlike previous entries in this series, we'll actually be focusing mostly on the plot of the generation, because this one's a little bit short. Just in case you're confused where Generations 4 through 6 went, they added in the continent of Iria, along with the playable elf and giant races. At least this time we'll be getting away from Rory, so let's get started. Generation 7 requires you to find 3 artifacts amidst the marshes of Pante Swamp. If you're wondering why it took so long to get the video out, these things are part of the reason why. RNG is not my friend. Anyway, once found, the player embarks on a raft down the Soitu, and diverts themselves from the river's main path. The raft goes hurtling over a waterfall, and in the valley below we find some ruins. These very tiny pyramids have altars that coincide with the 3 artifacts we found earlier. The player places the storm-charged artifact in its altar, and the door to the tiny pyramid opens, allowing the Milesian access to the top and bringing down a storm of lightning. Atop the ruins, the player sees the memories of the ancient humans of Iria. The memory shows a dragon breathing fire, burning down the jungles of Korkul and drying the river. After a brief warning that time is running out, the player is told that only the spirit of Irinid can stop the dragon's rampage. The player offers the next piece, and is met with a beam of sunlight along with the door to the next minuscule ziggurat sliding open. This time they see the memories of the ancient elves. This memory recollects the sun being hidden behind a colossal dragon's wings, and the verdant land of Canis withering. The memory comes to a close with the ancient elves hiding inside a cave to avoid the dragon. Finally, the Milesian offers up the last piece, causing snow to fall in the jungle ruins. The door to the last little pyramid slides down, and at its peak the Milesian sees the memories of the ancient giants. Turns out that the giants just straight up died, bar the dude whose memory it is apparently. That leaves a big cue for how giants are still around, but maybe we can get some A's later. The Milesian sees a final vision, stating that the time has come. We see Rory. No, why? Why, Nexon? Anyway, we see Rory open his eyes, and are told that the land has been released from its burning shackles, gushing out lifeless soil, and the vision ends on Krumkrua's face. Off-put by seeing Rory, I guess, understandably, the Milesian goes and sees the chief of the Korkul natives. Kusai tells the player that they're troubled not by what they saw, but by their own worries that have been chasing after them. He ponders if what the player saw were visions of the past or perhaps the future, and tells them to consider the experience as a sign of their destiny. After urging the player to seek out the heart of Korkul, he hands them a suspicious purple drink. The player drinks what we can only assume to be Kusai's personal lean recipe and immediately starts hallucinating, seeing a spirit person in a pillar with shifting stone pieces. The bit about burning shackles gets repeated and the vision comes to a close. Still a little high from the lean, the player decides that the young boy Tupai and his pet otter might have some useful information. According to Tupai, the two of them had gone to the same ruins he had just returned from, and after Ruai, the otter, had borrowed some rods and went off to Canis to explore the Longa Desert ruins. Apparently, whatever Ruai found bummed him out, so the Milesian goes out to find him a rainbow trout. Once sufficiently bribed, Ruai hands over a handwritten journal. Apparently animals have their own written language because you can't understand it at all. More questions, still no answers, I guess. Instead, you take it back to Longa and offer it at the altar to relive Ruai's adventure. Upon entering, we see a bunch of desert ghost fanatics holding hands and chanting about the burning shackles thing again. Ruai fights his way to the boss room and ganks the ghost boys, laying eyes on the heart of Korkul. The heart seems to whisper to him, telling him that it speaks of the dark fate of Iria. More ghosty boys show up, but Castanea arrives and yeets them with what looks like a shield spell. She can also somehow speak Otterese and tells Ruai to get out and forget what he's seen for his own safety. The Milesian now goes and talks to the Void, who tells the player that a suspicious man in a creepy robe showed up in the middle of a hot night and asked him to restore an equally suspicious artifact. Which he just did, apparently, no questions asked. Voight thinks that the artifact may have been the heart of Korkle, and he says that based on how the stranger moved, it was probably an elf. Voight was so into the stranger's sexy moves that he stole Aboka's horse and went to Philia, but all the elves were big sus and wouldn't tell him anything. Setting that information aside, the Milesian travels to Vales and talks to Tanez. Tanez tells the Milesian that his sight is failing, and that he wants to see Etrata one more time. Also, if you weren't aware, Tanez and Etrata have a thing for each other. Worried that she must have lost her memory like the other elves, he sends the player off to Par Ruins to recover the Mirror of Memory. The mirror does exactly what's in the name, and restores the memories of those that gaze into it, though it will shatter if the user isn't able to face their past. The Milesian recovers the mirror and has Voight fix it, who comments that the mirror could be useful since he's apparently an alcoholic. That or he's hitting up Kusai for lean too, the world may never know. Etrata uses the mirror and sees a short vision of her encounter with Tanez, nursing him back to health and sitting with him inside the dungeon. However, the mirror cracks and cuts her short of recovering her memories. She gives the Milesian a bell and sends them to Longa to relive her past instead. Once the player finishes the dungeon, they see Etrata and Tanez sitting together and talking. Once the conversation ends, you return to her and she decides she wishes to remember her past. That brings us to the end of Generation 7, and honestly there's not a lot of Irish or Celtic anything going on here. Elves do appear in Celtic myth, but those elves are small nature spirits. Humanoid elves are more Germanic in origin. The word elf itself comes from Old English and has some connection to archaic words for nightmares and hiccups, which they were believed to have caused. A small fun fact is that all the elves in Mabinogi are named after the scientific names of various plants and animals. Meleis being the name of the genus badgers belong to, Etrata being the family name for damselflies, and Castanea being the genus that chestnuts belong to. Germanic elves were somewhat ethereal, able to pass through walls and such, while Celtic Fey elves are generally invisible, so that's possibly where the inspiration of the hide ability comes from. Giants are extremely commonplace in mythologies all over the world, because person but bigger isn't that hard to come up with. Sometimes they're stupid brutes, and sometimes they're excellent craftsmen. Which one are Mabinogi's giants? Well, they suffer in dexterity and intelligence, and have high strength. Sorry giants, you're big and you're dumb, but that's okay, special buddies. Giants also are often depicted as somewhat barbaric, or having rough clothing, which we can kinda see in Mabinogi's big dumb boys and girls. Like elves, the giants are named after various things, this time the theme being, German stuff. Tanez gets his name from a mountain range in Germany, the Taunus. Vonst, Krug, and Veda are all just German words or surnames. Krug is a surname meaning jug maker or pot maker, while the other two mean belly and meadow or willow, respectively. The Korkle natives are a maybe slightly racist representation of American pre-colonial cultures, which is something that I don't feel comfortable talking about with authority. So I'm just going to point out what they did wrong. Making these characters growl like animals, have shamanistic beliefs that play into the in tune with nature stereotype often given to American natives, and putting a decent number of them in nothing but loincloths is maybe a little culturally insensitive to say the least. There are some land features that support the connection between Korkle and the Americas, like the Soitu River, likely drawing its name from the Senate Soitun. Anyway, that's about it for the generation, but don't click off just yet. We're getting pretty close to 50 subscribers here on the channel, and I just wanted to thank everybody who's clicked that button. You have no idea how cool it's been to watch the channel grow with each upload, and I'm super grateful. Currently I've set myself a couple personal goals for the channel. The first is to reach 50 subs within the next 60 days, and the second is to try to solidify an upload schedule. I can do the latter one, it just takes a little dedication on my part, but I need your help to meet that first goal. If you regularly tune in and you like my content, please consider subscribing if you haven't already, or even just pass the videos along to people that you think might enjoy them. Since I'm not in the Soul Streamer program, my content doesn't get the official promotion through Nexon's channels on Twitter and Discord, so I appreciate any help getting the word out. I also had a question for all of you guys. I recently gotten better internet, and I'm considering doing some post-video streams. I'll have to test the water, but if I'm able to do that, would you all be interested? I'll probably do the stream the day after I upload and use it to hang out and answer any questions you might have that didn't get covered in a video. I think it would be fun, and it might even be helpful for me in understanding what interests you all the most. Let me know in the comments or hop into the Discord if you want. The link to that is always in the description and in the About section of the channel page. Anyway, thank you all again. I'm sorry for prattling on it, you guys. I hope you have an awesome day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!